This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their EV Duty Smart Home Charger. Now, you may not believe me when I say this, but I can actually read minds. I know what you're thinking. Didn't I just feature this car? Like, I had the exact same car, 3 weeks ago? So what exactly am I doing again with the Ford Focus Electric? Well, if you remember, 3 weeks ago, as of filming this, I featured the 2014 Ford Focus Electric Titanium. It's a 5-door hatchback, compact electric vehicle that a lot of people just didn't know existed. Not only did you say it in the comments here on the video, but I'm part of the Ford Focus Owners Club of Canada on Facebook. Most of them didn't know it existed, and then even the Ford Focus Reddit, which is r/Ford Focus, they didn't know it existed either. It's a strange little electric car that Ford didn't do a ton of marketing on and sold, from what I heard, about 9,000 units globally throughout the entire production run. So then why is it that I have this car? Well, my friends, this one's not the same one that we featured a couple weeks ago, because this is a 2018 Ford Focus Electric Titanium, and this one's mine. That's right, I liked the Ford Focus Electric so much, I went out and bought one. So this may come as a surprise to some of you. I know for the most part this show was built on buying older luxury cars like the BMW 7 Series, and then I had a dabble when it came to the Dodge Intrepid, and I featured a number of classic cars over the years that I said I wanted. But over the last few weeks, specifically driving into Montreal, I have just become so frustrated with the price of gas, with being stuck in traffic, and just the overall commute of essentially wasting money by driving inefficient cars. This is going to cost nothing because it's an electric. So yeah, I have to charge it up here and there, but the price of electricity here in Quebec is so much cheaper than it is for gas. Gas prices are about $1.50 now in the city for regular fuel, whereas the electricity is quite a bit less. So I actually went out and bought this electric car because I truly like the way the Ford Mark III Focus drove, and the fact that it was an electric, even better. And this is pretty much the same trim and build and everything that we had on the one before. This is the same premium white paint on here. It has the same leather interior. Those were the only two options that you could have had on this. But there are some differences between this and the 2014 that we drove. So if you're in the market for a 2018 Ford Focus Electric, here's what to know. When we drove the 2014, the MSRP was $36,199 Canadian. It went down about $1,500 or so for 2018. This one, MSRP was $34,998 in the States, about $29,000. Went down about $6,000 in the US over the course of those 4 years. And there's a lot of reasons for that, because there was a lot more competition in 2018. A number of vehicles were getting closer to 300 and 400 kilometer range, whereas this tops out about 185. And if you remember the 2014 we did, it was rated originally for about 122. So the battery on this is a 33.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery, 50% bigger than the one on the 2014. There were a couple changes for this. Aside from the paint, they added 2 different paint colors for 2018, including the Hot Pepper Red and Outrageous Green. Essentially, it was everything else the same. The inside was where things got just slightly different. They changed the center console area. So we have Sync 3 on this, a little bit newer software with Sirius XM and the Sony audio system. And the gear shift area has changed a little bit too. So some tiny changes on the inside. The outside, pretty much identical from the 2014s. They really didn't change the exterior of them, but the battery pack is the biggest change. So if you're looking for that, as we mentioned when we did the 2014, it's 2017s and 18s that got the bigger battery pack. Those are probably the ones to go with. That's the reason why I went with this. This is the final year of production for the Ford Focus, both the electric and the regular one here in North America. You lucky dogs over in Europe, you get the Mark IV, but this is what we get here, and I gotta say, I really, really like it. So we're gonna go on a road test. I wanna talk about why I bought this car. I wanna talk about the future of what we're gonna be doing here on Test Drive now that I have this car, what I'm gonna be doing with the old Focus, and then pretty much everything else you need to know if you're in the market for a 2018 Ford Focus Electric, or you just like what I do and you wanna see what crazy shenanigans I'm up to this week. Now, I'm doing things a little differently here on this episode because we just featured this car, right? If you're absolutely curious in anything there is to know about the Ford Focus Electric, then I do suggest taking a look at the 2014 that we just published 3 weeks prior, because it goes over everything. I mean, we talked about the car, we talked about how it performed, drive, and everything on the road, and we talked about some information to look out for if you're in the market for it in our little buyer's guide at the end of the video. This, though, because it's basically the same car, I don't really need to go over all of the same stuff, but I want to talk about some of the reasons why I bought this and what we're going to be doing with it on test drive over the next while. So the first reason I bought this, I told you when I drove the electric before, I just really liked it. I think that it's unfortunate Ford killed off the Focus, and we talked about that when we did the Fusion as well. I really liked the Ford Fusion, especially the plug-in hybrid that we did. It had a lot to offer, and okay, if they updated it a little bit, it would have been great. And this thing, I mean, 2018, this feels pretty darn good. You know, we're getting pretty close to modern tech in here. You know, Sync 3 works very well. I've got XM radio, backup camera. If I want to subscribe to all the XM traffic and information, I've got it there. That's going to work out well for me. I like that. Number one reason why I went with the, well, actually number two reason I went with the 2018. Number one was obviously the range. I don't think I could have gotten through life with the 22.5 kilowatt hour electric battery. With this one, we've got the 33-ish, and I am telling you, it makes a big difference. I don't feel as worried driving this thing. It currently says it has 166 kilometers, and that really has fluctuated. I've noticed that. I've plugged it in and driven it a little bit since I bought it. When I picked it up, I had like, I think it was like 140 kilometers. Then I turned on the air conditioning and it dropped to about 120. But then when I came back, when I picked this up, it was about a 40 kilometer drive, and I had only used up about 5 kilometers of that budget. So the computer system does its own thing. This should get about 185 on a full charge, depending on the weather, depending on driving, and that's going to work out for me. What I'm going to be using this for, it's going to be fine, because here in Quebec, we have a lot of electric car chargers. I don't feel worried. If I have to stop somewhere, I can. And that was, again, sort of the concern that I had when I drove the 2014. It only had a level 2 charging port, meaning you were stuck on the slowest possible charge. If you had to get off, had to charge up, you're going to be sitting there for a while. Whereas with this, level 3, if I need to, I can stop somewhere. Plenty of places along my usual commute to be able to stop and plug in, and only have to be there for 5-10 minutes to get most of the range back. So those are some key benefits, key reasons why I went with this. Now, I picked this specific VIN for a number of reasons as well. First of all, it's a 2018, so this is the last year of production for the Mark III sold here in North America, meaning it is pretty much the best that it comes with the Ford Focus. Number two, this car came with a set of winter tires. Now, if you know the current Ford Focus, I have the 06 ZXW. It also has a set of winter tires. It's the only ones on them, but they are probably the most garbage tier, bottom of the barrel, legal definition of winter tires you can get without actually having the performance of winter tires. So that I don't think I would be trusting very much in the winter. These ones, they come with a nice set of Nokian winter tires, so we're going to be testing those out and see how they do. Now, one of the things that you guys asked me when we did the 2014 was, how would this do in the winter? We're going to find out. Because this has better range, it would obviously perform better than the smaller range version on the 2014s. But we're going to be seeing how this does in the winter. We're going to see how much of that roughly 185 kilometers you lose out because of winter, and also some of the other information about this as we drive it along. Because unlike the current Ford Focus that I have, which I bought as a leave-behind car, this will actually be performing more daily driving duties, especially during the time that I have very thirsty vehicles. Just doesn't make sense to go pick up my kid with a vehicle that does 18 or 19 liters per 100 kilometers. I'm going to be using this thing, and I'm going to be saving some money. So I'm going to be driving this a whole lot more than I would have if I had still the Ford Focus ZXW. And I did mention what am I going to be doing with that. For now, I'm going to keep it. Yeah, it doesn't really cost me anything. It's going to be sitting in the garage. It's a backup should I ever need it. And I actually do like driving it. I know it's not in the best condition. It's not the best example there is out there, but I do like the car. So I'm going to hold on to it for now, and we'll see how things go after the winter. But I got to tell you that I'm very happy with this car. It drives
very well. It's pretty much identical. The driving experience is pretty much the same that we saw on the 2014. You're just getting the better technology on this. The center area here feels much more modern. I like the digital readout for the temperature and nice dual zone climate control. Nice stuff there. Yeah, dual zone climate control. We just featured the 2021 Kia Niro electric, and that only had a driver mode. You could have a driver only mode, which was really nice, but it's just single zone climate. So this thing, 2018, okay, it doesn't have all the range and it's not quick. Yeah, it's pretty good for an electric, but it has some nice tech on it. So those are some of the reasons why I bought this. I mean, I just really, really like it. And I know you guys might not understand, but I hope you do. And I hope you're going to continue along with me on test drive as we do some more stuff with this little electric car, because I think it's going to be interesting to see. I know a lot of people, and I keep talking about that, but I know a lot of people just didn't know this vehicle existed. Here in Quebec, I see a lot of them, but outside of this market, it's a pretty rare vehicle, and I plan on holding on to it. So I've enjoyed it so far. I'm happy with the purchase. I think it's going to be a nice little car, different than anything else I have ever thought of buying before, because it is a full electric vehicle. So we're going to be seeing, and that's the other thing too. I'm not planning on going like full crazy EV owner thing. I'm not going to get myself binders full of data when it comes to my EV and other EVs and all sorts of weird stuff that you hear about. We're not going to be doing any of that. I hope as we do some more electric car stuff on test drive, both as from the perspective of an owner and as a journalist, we'll continue doing what we usually do, which is more mainstream, generic, everyday kind of stuff that you'd want to know out of an electric, and not the really, really technical, weird stuff nobody cares about. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of my little Ford Focus. As I mentioned, I'm now a Ford Focus enthusiast. I've owned 2 of them with this one now, so I really do just like my Ford Focus, or Foci, depending on what the plural word is for it. So let me know in the comments below what you think. We're going to be seeing a lot more of this car. You can give a thumbs up to the video if you liked this episode, and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.